What's going on, everybody? Happy Pokemon anniversary, Pokemon week, whatever, and welcome to Boompa World, where I've been on a Pokemon kick lately. Before the announcement, I got a bootleg game off of eBay. I was looking around online and at game stores, and luckily, this person I know sold me a bunch of Pokemon games for the cheap. But I remember back in November 2019 as a much simpler time. Besides the vaping death toll rising, the biggest thing people were complaining about was the fact the new Pokemon game didn't have every Pokemon in it like the older ones do. It didn't really bother me that much, but I understand that gotta catch 'em all is a slogan. So right out of the gate, Pokemon Sword was kind of released with that bad taste in fans' mouths, some questionable graphics, but overall was pretty fun, kind of resulted in like 1 billion sales. I don't know. Every Pokemon game now, the online consensus feels like mixed and contested, very hotly at release. It seems people feel like the games just lack the original soul and innovation. I played through the month it came out and it was pretty cool. I liked it. I played my fair share, enjoyed the raids, the wild area. Kind of thought the caves and dungeons were boring. But let's see if my second playthrough of Pokemon Sword and Game Freak's 8th generation of Pokemon is worth a try. I mainly want to see if the game is memorable or will stick with me like the previous generations. I'm also going to tackle the DLCs in a separate video, so if you want to see that, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to like the video too, it would help out a ton. I'm trying to grow this cute little baby channel. And I'm going to go through my general adventure while commenting on the mechanics and experience as I go, so let's just jump right in. So the intro definitely kind of sets the tone, lets me know the game was kind of have this big crowds, big atmosphere, this fake YouTube channel. It almost made me restart because I thought I picked the wrong language. Above all, there's no voice acting in these cutscenes. I'm just playing. But this fellow Roselia takes the place of a professor. He basically introduces you to the Galar region's vibe and their favorite celebrity champion. I didn't realize how much this game's art direction emphasized unique facial hair. I know Rose has it, but look at random trainer battles and Pokemon themselves. There's so many different beards and mustaches. The graphics are obviously a huge step up from anything I've seen in a mainline game, environment and details wise, unless you want to say stuff like the 2D simplicity with sprites looked better, which may have some merit to it, but it cuts to me meeting my bestie Hop, my rival. He's the champion's little brother and he really looks up to him, but my character's fit is absolute trash, so I don't even care about Hop right now. But I do remember you were able to customize your clothes in this one. After I twirly swirl, I leave my house. I'm greeting to this loading screen, guiding me where to go with a map of the region, which I honestly have no problem with, although it shows the hand-holdy nature of the newer Pokemon games from the jump. Every single time someone's going to tell you where to go or just walk you to where you have to go. You basically run into a big wall of dialogue with your good pal Hop. Next we choose our starting Pokemon after more Champion Leon hype. And the last time I picked Grookey because I just thought he was a cute little monkey. But this time I'm going to go with Scorbunny, mainly because he didn't cry in the intro like Sobble. That just turned me off to him, and I know Sobble looks emo later on. But we jump into the first battle. It's a little different. Hop has more than just his starter. He also has a little Wooloo, but the end result is the same, and they're easy to defeat. The battle's graphics do look fine and polished, but as a home console game, I feel like the attack animations and scenes could have used a little more chutzpah, or they could have been a bit more dynamic, but it does get the job done. Leon talks to us about the gym challenge, and there's some final tournament of sorts like most Pokemon games. Following this chat, a little rolling sheep leads us into the slumbering weald, which we aren't supposed to go into. It's right next to the starter town, and then we immediately encounter a legendary. It felt kind of early, but it reminded me of the Generation 2 encounter with Suicune in them, where they just ran around and or they saw you and then disappeared. This game starts off really trying to get you drawn in, excited for the long run, and it's pretty cool for that. Made me almost impatient though to really get into the actual battling and team building of a Pokemon game. Kind of the setup took too long. It tried to quickly build a budding world though, so I can't be too mad. Entering the first new town of Wedgehurst shows how the layouts and town design were kind of thoughtfully designed really. It felt more grandiose and they had more to work with. And that was my first impression, but it stood strong throughout most of the game. I really liked the camera angle and it really was so different. It gave them more freedom with hills and different levels in a town than you typically see in other generations. You meet the professor. There actually is a professor in this game. It's Professor Magnolia. She's kind of irrelevant. She's more behind the scenes than most professors, and she also has an assistant named Sonia who's even more important than her. She's basically irrelevant, but she does give us a Pokedex and introduces us to the wild area, so she's cool for that. Yo, the wild area is fire. It honestly reminds me of Ocarina of Time Overworld in a way, with that feeling of vastness I had when I first saw it. Just big, but kind of empty. And also the graphics are noticeably downgraded, and I experienced my fair share of frame drops. But I don't know, like the inner kid in me, it felt like a Pokemon game always should have been like this, just running around, Pokemon everywhere, all sorts of them. Not just like 3 or 4 of the same ones in one route, like 50. I felt like some corners were cut, but this formula, that's the shit I like. And it looks like they ran with this formula in Pokemon, the new one, the Arceus one. I wish there was more to explore. And I wish that the dynamic weather didn't make it look so damn ugly, but there's also a lot of fun features like the tent and camping features where you can make food and play with your Pokemon. It makes me smile, even if it's not like amazingly useful. The curry cooking minigame also gives me Cooking Mama vibes, and it can also increase you and your Pokemon's friendship, so it's just perfect. Pokemon Sword gives you a lot to work with right off the bat, on top of the online functionality where you can do a random trade, link trade, battle, or other things. If you're just overly focusing on the main story, it might seem kind of boring. Right off the train, before we entered the wild area, a guy gave me an Eevee because we had Let's Go Eevee, but I boxed it immediately because you can't evolve the Let's Go Eevee. Why? The wild area was a huge time sink, and I really just loved exploring, fighting Pokemon, catching a ton of them. It really gave me that Safari Zone feel, like who's coming next, although I could see it getting old after like countless hours. I explored for hours though, then we made it next to that big town that was in the middle, Mostostiki, the first big town, industrial. It's lending it to that British aesthetic the game was going for with the Galar region. We have the big gym challenge ceremony, and it kind of just made the game feel like I was like an anime character. I'm about to go off on a little adventure, and people in this world almost actually care about me. I kind of caught myself tapping A vigorously because I don't need that much dialogue to read right now. But before I know it, it's time for the first gym, and I already have a team of 6 somehow, and everyone's like leveled up high. Due to the EXP share. It's really easy to switch out your team whenever you're tired of someone. You could even have like a big rotation like coming out of the boxes whenever you wanted. There were so many Pokemon I've never used that I just tried out because the EXP makes it easy, and it feels like such a good variety was in any area I went to. Before we can fight the gym, we run through this generic ass cave called Galar Cave 1. And I fight this edgy guy at the end named Bede, who was actually endorsed by Rose, but he wants to be my rival too. He kind of reminds me of that rich kid from Fairly Odd Parents, though. I did like the cave's music and graphics and aesthetic, but it had no name and no design. The atmosphere was cool, but it just felt so lacking as a cave or a dungeon in a Pokemon game. But shortly after we take on the first gym, it's grass, so we get an easy dub. We got the fireman. But before you have the gym leader, instead of just facing like 2 to 3 of their lackeys, like 2-3 gym trainers, and then you run to them, you have to do the gym challenge. It's kind of like in Sun and Moon with the big kahunas and stuff. But in this one, the first challenge, at least, I had to herd Wooloos, which was pretty lame gameplay. But it broke up the regular gameplay, so it was a step in the right direction, honestly. I run up to Milos, and his weak grass Pokemon get swept. I don't even end up using my starter. I actually got a bug Pokemon from a surprise trade right before I battled him, and I just destroyed him with him. Me and Ninjash shook hands. I taught him a bug move, and he went to war for me. Yeah, this game is best in these fun battles, exhilarating music, and childlike storytelling in the build-up. The more exploration elements, the better, but I guess they gotta keep poking me along every step they get. I almost found myself making more enjoyable storylines in my head because the real adventure seemed kind of like Sonia and Leon were going on it, and constantly just told me to focus on the gym challenge. The game was brain-deadly easy too, even though I do like many aspects of its design. I wish battles were hard, even if the healing options were there and EXP share was readily available and overpowered. They get slightly harder down the line, but it just feels like I'm missing something. Also, the villain team is so lame. We've fallen so far from Galactic. It's like Team Yell, the loud minority thinking themselves as a quiet majority maybe. A fat dude simping for a Twitch streamer or celebrity because they followed the girl Marnie and just cheer. These guys are menaces. That is a child. But just as quick as the first gym, the second one sneaks right up and flicks you on the back of your head. It's the water gym Nessa. She's pretty, it's a cool design, but I proceeded to lay the wood on her entire team. After another easy but break the monotony challenge involving water spouts. But it was at this town Holbury that she was at that they dipped their toes into this country twangy music on the soundtrack, and I'm not really digging it. Not to say the soundtrack's bad, because there's some really good moments with like techno and digital stuff that slaps, but a lot of the towns and stuff don't really stand out at all to me. As I write, there's just little things that happen in this game that I don't feel like mentioning. Little extra dialogue, or I had to meet Nessa at her lighthouse before I battled her. It's just like little interactions that give more to the world but just don't really do much for me. Looking at the styles of the characters, I do like the realistic 3D anime style. Yeah, this game looks pretty beautiful once they get the proportions right and they actually spend some time on the backgrounds. We make it through another unnamed basic Galar Mine 2 in the name of adventure. Then Hop introduces me to the idea of doing Poke Jobs in the PC, another new feature that I completely ignored in my first playthrough. That was basically just a weird way to get EXP, and it kind of just felt like a weird gacha app. I didn't miss much. But what feels like right after the cave, I bump into and proceed to absolutely destroy the fire-type gym leader. It gets fully torn up by one Pokemon. Take the L. It had the best challenge of them all. You just had to like catch a few Pokemon and then battle the people. After getting our third badge, all the 3 gym leaders like send us off and we get sent back to the wild area, and it kind of feels like a nice little feeling of progression. And now it's time to fight, and they said it's time to fight and catch some stronger Pokemon. I really like this setup. I felt like I accomplished something and was happy to see there was more to the wild area. It almost reminded me of like after you get the first 3 things and become Adult Link. I found myself here going more into those red lit up dens for big max raids, which were really fun and still haven't gotten boring. They feel like little mini bosses or something, and it was more fun to do them offline because you just carry because when you do them online, everyone just has overpowered Pokemon and kills them right away. But shortly after this, we venture on to the 4th gym, and we have to face our rival Hop like the 3rd time or something. Man, he just takes L's after L's, and he took an L earlier against this rich dude, and he's like tweaking because he's mad that he lost, and he still isn't over it. So I kind of felt awkward beating him. Like, I'm an adult, so do I let this child win? Like, those instincts were kind of kicking in for me because he was just in pain. But yeah, the routes in this game were honestly really enjoyable. I loved the scenery in the background. It added a lot to the scope for me. I feel like the routes in the older games lacked, like hills and trees and stuff like behind you, and it felt like more like a path in a region or a road and less like a hallway with trainers. But some feel this game does have more shallow design with routes, and that may hold some truth to it, like the dungeons and caves and stuff. There's just not as much to explore in the world. The wild area though was just so easy to get lost. It just added a lot of playtime for me. If I was 12, this game would literally be goated though, honestly. Right next to like Modern Warfare 2. It's fire! But right after I beat this 4th fighting gym, all my Pokemon were evolving to the final stage. It felt like a moment in an anime like Naruto comes with the Sage Toads or something. Like, this is our evolution, this is our metamorphosis. The journey was like a lot more enjoyable than I remember, even if it's not difficult. They made it fun to catch Pokemon in this game with that gimmick of max raids and stuff. The Dynamax is their kind of generational gimmick, like megas and stuff. I really enjoyed the region. There was weird people to talk to, a lot of items to get, even like odd little quests, like this one where you get a note from a little girl and you end up having to give it to this old dude in a different town, and then it turns out he was her childhood friend. So basically we delivered a ghost girl note. But we got a choice scarf out of it, so that's cool. Like, you just can do little things and get cool items. There's more items in this game than like most of the other ones that I played, or they're at least easy to get. But we make it to Balloonly, which is an absolutely beautiful town, graphics and design-wise. I mean, so many colors, so many Pokemon floating around to build the atmosphere. It's so cute. The gym is like almost always the focal point of each town, and for this one, it's no different. But we face the fairy gym here. But before we can face the fairy gym, we have to talk to Marnie, who says she is also our rival now, which is cool. I'll go with everyone. I'll have 3 rivals, and they're all trash. Because Hop kind of fell off, and I'm already low-key feeling ready to beat his older brother anyway. I'll take this emo girl over unconfident beta little brother Hop, though. But they still go down the same way. But I mean, I hope I'm not rushing through the fine details. But a lot of this game does feel unthoughtful and doesn't really add to the fun. There's tapestries. The rich kid messed up and tried to use the chairman's Pokemon for evil. Blah blah. They learn the history of the world, and it does kind of build up this fairy tale type setting. But come on, I'm moving on. The next town was this pretty snow town, and I always love snow areas in Pokemon. It hits me nostalgically right back to Snow Point City in Gen 4. I'm very nostalgic for Pokemon Platinum, especially lately, because I remember when I got that for my birthday and I was just living lavish. But the same goes for Sirchester and the route leading up to it. Something about the quiet snow and the unique ice Pokemon just makes me feel peaceful and stoic. And I also gave my guy another makeover in this town too. I just love the customization in this game. I really spent like all my money on clothes and hair though, which may make you guys think I'm mistreating my Pokemon, but I give them plenty of love. I make them curry, and I care about them where it counts, with the heart. I missed that Pangoro hat from X and Y though. That was real drip. The next gym in the town was quick work too though. I felt like I was just tumbling gym to gym, destroying everything in my path, just like just a huge thing of destruction. But they waited until the 6th patch for the rock types. Usually I feel like they have that one like the first couple, just because I just got to use a water move and destroy everyone. The gym challenge mission in this one was also lame, but I just can't really hate on them because it's just something else to do. I can't decide if they're fun anymore though at this point. After the badge, me and Sonia found the secret tapestry, even though we tried to sidetrack her with this weird little guy poster. And Hop even lost to the gym leader, like the fake rival loser friend that he is. Damn, he fizzled out. I'm almost embarrassed for him. Like, this part of the game made me have him like, dude, Hop, can you step it up, bro? He got it right after he stopped downing himself, which is a great lesson for the 10-year-olds to not be a But honestly, from this gym badge to the 7th in the back alley of the Greasers City to Raihan's 8th gym badge, the game kind of just slid through like it was checking off boxes. Like, they didn't really add much around the story. There was just like, here, just run from this gym to this gym to this gym. Like, Sonia and Leon were like taking care of any problems that were going on in the world. I mean, this part of the game went so fast. Even though I went through routes and explored, it felt like it was kind of ending in a rush. There was cool sounding story elements and trouble happening, and although I understand let the adults take care of it, when has that ever stopped Pokemon before? Like, I was 10 years old taking down hideouts, boats. I was in the distortion world, bruh. I was in hell. I caught Mewtwo. We don't have to be treated like a baby. But oh well. Raihan was a good 8th gym badge and was actually pretty hard. He put up a good fight. He still lost it like everyone else though in his first attempt. The 7th gym leader was cool and emo too. He reminded me of that one singer from Danny Phantom, as he was a singer too. It was now time for the Champions Tournament. I think it's my favorite part of the game. After that big ass adventure, I put so much time into building my team. I fed them, we pet them. We did these little mini quests. We met cool people. We got everyone's holding an item. This game really dragged me in and set the foundation. There was a lot of details that can be improved though for this game, but it makes me very excited for the future and scale of the next Pokemon games. Before I make you think I beat the game though already, first I gotta destroy my rival's dreams. Before we face like the actual Champions Tournament, we have to beat the challengers. So we just destroy Marnie. And I mean, I don't get where her nor Hop get their confidence from. I beat them like 5 times each. And they still had so much confidence and were like so sure they were going to win. Like, I literally swept you guys from the start of the game. They both go down pretty easily. And then when their journey basically ends, they don't really act upset. And they just root me on, which was nice and supportive. Nice supportive friends after I crushed any chance my good buds had of beating the champion. I overall like this little tournament setup over the Elite Four. It makes way more sense and it's different, and that's probably why. It just stands out. It's more unique and interactive too. I feel like I've seen tournaments similar to this in the Pokemon anime too, and others in general, so it kind of just speaks to me more than the old Elite Four setup. After busting up our friends' teams though, they warned me the real challenge begins here. Honestly though, I couldn't be really too scared, because my Metro friend Bede crashes the party just to get his ass handed to him. And he said he would retire, but then the crowd is like on his side and cheers him on. I guess they want the redemption story. But he was in hiding training with Opal in the fairy gym after he got disowned by Rose after he did some evil shit. Oh well, he still took the L. But yeah, Rose is on some weird shit. Him and Leon were up in this tower talking about how they need to cancel the tournament to address these like energy emissions, and Leon just isn't having it. Are they like anti-climate change? I don't really get this message here, but Rose is like kind of suspicious. I don't trust his gut this whole game. Look at his little gut. Look at his little curl. But I knew Oleana, his assistant, was a psycho. I know I haven't mentioned her because she's so irrelevant, but she's kind of like a bad person. She had her own little inner circle to try and stop us, and while Rose and Leon are discussing climate change, we have to fight a bunch of people in this Team Rocket style hideout, which I was happy, but we didn't really get one until the game's like over. I just like fighting evil old people and them losing to young people. It's just empowering. The next evening, we start the real tournament though after all that bullshit. And whoever wins this little tourney gets to face Leon. And we tough it out. We beat the water gym leader, the fighting gym leader, and then we even have a rematch against the dragon leader Raihan. We're just about to face the champion. We're getting hyped up, and then Chairman Rose interrupts the matches by bringing about the darkest day. And he literally like all the Pokemon are going wild. They're Dynamaxing in the wild, and he's trying to like save the world, but he's doing so by messing everything up. He's such an odd character in this game. I want to beat his ass, but I feel ready to beat the champion, so I guess I just gotta go save the world real fast, and that I did. showing here, like with Rose, like I like the reactions and animations they give the gym leaders and trainers and anyone after they lose. It's just a nice touch that gives the game a little more depth. We murk his little team and then head upstairs to what the hell is that? How do I barely remember this part of the game? This is really high octane. Like, this thing is weird looking though. We have this big crazy battle on the roof and catch this universe looking Pokemon. When we worked alongside the Sword and Shield Pokemon, I just couldn't help but feel hyped though. This feels like I'm playing an anime. Big ups. We even get to catch this weird looking creature DNA thing. Then after we beat them all, we fall asleep for 3 days somehow, and then we have to face Leon because he's still ready for the match after that Psycho Darkest Day stuff. But the finals match was actually really fun, and for me at least, I guess because I wasn't over leveled or anything. The match actually came down to the wire. I wasn't using any healing items, and I switched my game from shift to set or whatever. But yeah, Leon was no joke though. After we won, Hop was happy for us, showing he was a true friend, and Beat and Marnie were hating on us, so they knew they were just pussies. So now we beat the unbeatable GOAT demigod champion Leon, who everyone kissed on and sucked on. So what do you get to do now? What next? You get pictures with the crowd, sign some autographs, some cool quests. Not unless you buy the DLC. There's this battle tower, which is kind of boring. Leon gives you a Charizard of your own. You get random items here and there, even some really good ones that increase the likelihood of an egg being hatched, or a shiny charm or a catching charm. Which I picked them up, and I may get the shiny charm at some point, but you have to complete the Pokedex. I guess the real post-game adventure lies in the DLC, which is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of Pokemon fans, but I don't know. Let me give some closing thoughts on Pokemon Sword and my look back at it. I feel like Pokemon games always have this negative energy in the air when they come out, something that makes the game feel half-hearted, and it really just feels like a cloud exists over them, where most people are just kind of unsatisfied. It's pretty fair. I mean, some are bothered by the lifeless 3D models, the more straightforwardness of this game, the lack of attention to detail, or lack of innovation. But a lot of times Pokemon fans look back a few years later and they kind of fondly, they look back pretty fondly, and they even miss the old games. I think there's always going to be a lot to nitpick, and there's always going to be a lot for these games to improve on though, and I have no problem with anyone voicing their opinions. I just so happen to have a fun adventure building my team, getting badges. Although I felt some of the areas lacked detail, or many cutscenes were slow, and the experience was rather handholdy, it still felt like an adventure through and through, and exactly what I wanted with Pokemon. This could make me a casual, that I overlook so many of the problems in the game and just don't see them as intrusive. The game was way too easy though. I'm actually going to keep playing this game though, because it was really fun, and I think I'm going to try and work on finishing that Pokedex. I just recommend not going in with the negative ideas, because that can make your playthrough a little less enjoyable. I understand some may feel the series is just deadlocked and refuses to evolve, but I feel like this game experimented a lot and kind of set the framework for Pokemon for years to come. Especially with Pokemon's, the new Arceus game, like that looks like an evolved version of the wild area. But with new Pokemon games on the horizon, I'm excited for the future. I hope you guys are too. Looks like they're going new direction, and I can't wait. See you guys later. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.